Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance of Sadhguru Shishir Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse 22. And the chapter is entitled The Birth of Emperor Parikshit. So we will start with the opening prayers, the invocation prayers, and we'll go straight into the class. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajano Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajano Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Stotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Stotar Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shridhadmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namani. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Vani Pracharani. Nirvishesha Shunyavari Pashyatya Deshatharani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will be studying from Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse 22. Chapter is entitled The Birth of Emperor Parikshit. I will chant the verse 3 times and I ask devotees to please chant after me. Mrigendra iva vikranto nishebhyo himavan iva titikshur vasudeva sau sahishnu pitaraviva. Mrigendra iva vikranto nishesvo himavan iva titikshur vasudeva sau Sahisnu Pitarav Iva. Mrigendra Iva Vikranto Nishesvo Himavan Iva Titikshur Vasudeva Sau Sahisnu Pitarav Iva. Devotees can chant, please. Can't hear you, Vrinda. Yeah, now it's clear. Can you be a little louder?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to try?
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandavat Pranam.
Haribol, please go ahead.
Mrigendra Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevaso Sahishnu Pitaraviva.
Haribol, thank you. I will do the word for word translation, transition and purport, and the synonyms by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Mrigendra, the lion. Iva, like. Vikrantaha, powerful. Niseswa, worthy of taking shelter. Himavan, the Himalaya mountains. Iva, like. Titikshu, forbearance. Vasudha Eva, like the earth. Asau, the child. Sahisnu, tolerant. Pitarau, parents. Eva, like. Purport and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The child will be as strong as a lion and as worthy a shelter as the Himalayan mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. Purport. One is compared to the lion when one is very strong in chasing an enemy. One should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. The lion never fails in the chase of an animal. Similarly, the head of the state should never fail in chasing an enemy. The Himalayan mountains are famous for all richness. There are innumerable caves to live in, numberless trees of good fruits to eat, good springs to drink water from, and profuse drugs and minerals to cure diseases. Any man who is not materially prosperous can take shelter of these great mountains, and he will be provided with everything required. Both the materialist and the spiritualist can take advantage of the great shelter of the Himalayas. On the surface of the earth, there are so many disturbances caused by the inhabitants. In the modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth. And still, the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants, like a mother who excuses a little child. Parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. An ideal king may be possessed of all these qualities, and the child Parikshit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection. Om Maganati Mirandyasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Chadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The translation again. This child will be as strong as a lion and as worthy a shelter as the Himalayan mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. So here, the Brahmanas are telling Yudhishthira, about the baby child, Parikshit. So the Brahmanas are describing the great qualities of the birth of the child Parikshit in a baby form. Sometimes we see nowadays when the newborn is, has appeared, the first thing that some parents do, at least in the Indian culture, is to do the child's astrology. What is going to be, what qualities they will have, what qualities they will like, and what we can do to improve them, and so on and so forth. So here the Brahmanas did the same thing. They are telling Maharaj Parikshit, they're telling Maharaj Yudhishthira about Maharaj Parikshit in a child form. So 4 main points Srila Prabhupada mentions here, and it's really, really important that we meditate on these 4 main points, because the Brahmanas are predicting the kind of leader Maharaj Parikshit will be, the kind of ideal king he will be. And on top of that, the Brahmanas are predicting, lack of a better word, that these are the qualities he will have, and he will be perfect to those qualities. So the first one, Srila Prabhupada mentions, is as strong as a lion. So we all know that in a jungle or in a forest, there can only be one lion. There's more than one, but a lion is in the forest, in the jungle, for what? For protection. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that Maharaj Parikshit will be compared to the lion. So he'll be very strong in chasing the enemies, but he'll be a lamb at home. So here Srila Prabhupada is teaching us, if we want to be a leader, if we want to be a devotee of the Lord, And a devotee of the Lord is a leader in their own way. And why is that so? Because a devotee of the Lord is a spiritual warrior. Each one of us are a spiritual warrior in our own ways. We may not be out on the battlefield fighting. We may not be kings and queens or leaders or, temple presidents or managers or what have you. But in our own way, we are all fighting our own battlefield of Kurukshetra, if we think about it, right? We are facing the three miseries of the material conditions. We are dealing with the 6 enemies of the minds on a daily basis. We are dealing with the 3 austerities: the mind, the body, and the whatever is going around us, the false ego, definitely the false ego. We're dealing with so many changes every single day, and each one of us are fighting against those enemies, those challenges, those the ego, the greed, the envy, everything, right? So we are fighting our own battle. If you think about it, each of us as devotees of the Lord, practicing devotees of the Lord, we are fighting our own battles of Kurukshetra every single day. So because we are fighting our own battle of Kurukshetra every single day, we are fighting, we are all spiritual warriors in our own way. So here Srila Prabhupada is teaching us how at home we have to be a lamb, and when we go outside, we have to be a lion. So why is Srila Prabhupada using the lamb and the lion? It's because we have to have, lack of a better word, the yin and the yang, right? There are certain situations where we have to be calm and soft and gentle like a lamb. And there are certain situations where we have to be like a lion. So we have to be able to differentiate, distinguish, when should I be a lamb, when should I be a lion. We cannot always be a lamb. We cannot always be soft in all situations, because there are some situations where we have to take the bull by the horn and deal with the situation in a very strong way, right? When there is a fire in the house, we can't be a lamb, we got to be a lion, right? When our child does something wrong, we cannot be a lamb, we got to be a lion, right? We have to correct the child. When the child is sick, that's when we are a lamb, not a lion, right? So in that same way, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Maharaj Parikshit, the Brahmanas are saying that Maharaj Parikshit will be very strong, like a lion, and at the same time, he'll be a lamb at home. And because he will be, and the Brahmanas already predicted that he's going to be the reigning king in the future. And because the Brahmanas know that he'll be the head of the state, he will be perfect in being a lion to chase away the enemies. So Srila Prabhupada is teaching us here to be a leader, to be a servant leader, let's put it that way. To be a servant leader, we have to be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. Chase means what? Something that we have to go after, to deal with, not greed, not material chase, spiritual chase. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, we always have to switch our minds to the spiritual chase, not the material chase. Because why is that so? Because unfortunately, as conditioned living souls, we tend to put so much effort in the material chase than the spiritual chase. If we want to excel in Krishna consciousness, we have to put as much effort in our spiritual chase, or even more than we do in our material chase. So here Srila Prabhupada is teaching us that Maharaj Parikshit will be a very strong as a lion. He'll be a very good protector. A lion is also referred to as one who gives protection. He protects the jungle. He protects the forest. Anybody comes in tight, he will rip you apart. He's protecting the jungle. He is the king of the jungle, a lion, right? So in that same way, Srila Prabhupada is teaching us that Maharaj Parikshit will be an excellent protector of the kingdom. Excellent protector, nothing to fear. Another point that Srila Prabhupada made is worthy of shelter. So Maharaj Parikshit will be very worthy of shelter as the Himalayan mountains. So here Srila Prabhupada is comparing shelter to the Himalayan mountains. And why is that so? The Himalayan mountains is famous for richness, right? It gives, it has many caves to live in. Caves means home, shelter, protection, roof over the head, right? Numberless, many numbers of trees. Why? Good fruits to eat. Good springs to drink water. And lots of herbal plants that can be used for curing diseases. So why is Srila Prabhupada comparing the Himalayan mountains as shelter in regards to Maharaj Parikshit? Because Srila Prabhupada is saying here that anyone who takes shelter of Maharaj Parikshit will be worthy of taking shelter, in the sense that Maharaj Parikshit will be such an ideal king, that anyone that comes to take his shelter, he will provide them place to live, food to eat, good water to drink, herbs to cure diseases. They have nothing to worry about. All their needs will be met. All their needs will be met. They have nothing to fear. And even if anyone who is not materially well-to-do takes shelter of Maharaj Parikshit, all their needs will be met. So much so that Srila Prabhupada compared Maharaj Parikshit to a great mountain, which is the Himalayan mountains. Imagine that. Imagine how great Maharaj Parikshit was. You know, that Srila Prabhupada compared him to be a mountain, strong, steadfast. And we know mountains to be very strong, very grounded, very, always giving shelter, and very steadfast. Right? And that was Maharaj Parikshit. Not only was he strong as a lion, but he was very grounded like a mountain, steadfast. Anybody that comes to a shelter, he will provide them with all their needs. They will be prosperous. Srila Prabhupada says, any man who takes shelter of Maharaj Parikshit, they will be prosperous. And even if they are, even if they come to him poor, he'll make them very prosperous. That was the immense purity of Maharaj Parikshit. The third point that Srila Prabhupada mentioned in this purport, that Maharaj Parikshit will be forbearing like the earth. Why earth? Why Mother Earth? If we think of Mother Earth, right, we misuse her like anything. We really misuse her like anything. We take her for granted. In the name of material prosperity, we misuse Mother Earth. Why? Because we lack patience and self-control. Are we patient like Mother Earth? Are we self-controlled like Mother Earth? Yet, Mother Earth, she still excuses us. She said, okay, let it be. You want it? Okay, use me. If you think about the dancers, many Indian classical dancers, before they arise on the stage, they always offer obeisances to the ground that they're going to stomp on. Why is that so? Because they're asking Mother Earth, please forgive me. I'm going to perform a dance. I have to stomp on your ground. Please excuse me. And what does Mother Earth do? You're excused, my child. Right? Mother Earth has been abused and kicked and tortured and overtaken and drilled and you name it. And she still excuses us. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that Maharaj Parikshit will be that patient and self-control like Mother Earth. Imagine that. Maharaj Parikshit will not only be strong as a lion, not only will he be as great as the Himalaya mountains to give shelter to anyone and provide all their needs, at the same time, he will be very patient and self-controlled like Mother Earth, who excuses the little child. Amazing. I mean, it's really amazing how perfect Maharaj Parikshit was in all these qualities. The Brahmanas foretold it. The Brahmanas foretold it. And the last point that Srila Prabhupada mentioned is he will also be as tolerant as the parent. But here he said as his parents. Think about it. Who was Maharaj Parikshit's parents? Abhimanyu and Uttara. Abhimanyu was killed by so many warriors, 7 warriors, all at the same time. Extremely tolerant. Can we imagine that? And how old was he? He was 16 years old. Can we imagine a 16-year-old warrior out in the battlefield being tortured all at the same time by 7 warriors and they were just stabbing him? That's tolerance. To bear that much all at one time. And Uttara was younger than her husband, Abhimanyu, when she was carrying Maharaj Parikshit. So much so that Ashwatthama wanted to kill the baby in her womb. She was so tolerant. She cried to the Lord, please. And the Lord protected Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of his mother. Tolerant. So here Srila Prabhupada is teaching us that as parents, we always tolerate our children's mischievousness. And that is the qualities of an ideal king that Maharaj Parikshit will have. So Prabhupada is telling us that he will be so ideal that he will possess all these qualities to perfection. He didn't even say all the qualities, but he said to perfection. Perfection means not a tinge of flaw, not a drop of flaw, not a speck of dust, pure perfection. Now, if we think about these qualities that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, right? He will be strong as a lion. And why? To chase the enemies away, but a lamb at home. He will be worthy of giving shelter. He'll be as great as the mountain of the Himalayas, always giving shelter, providing the needs of his people. He will be very patient and self-control like Mother Earth. And he'll be very tolerant, like parents tolerate their child's mischief acts. If we think of these qualities, what comes to our mind? The qualities of a Vaishnava. These are some of the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava that Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So, as Vaishnavas, practicing devotees of the Lord, we have to try to develop the mood of being strong as the lion and lamb at home. And when can we be strong as a lion? We shouldn't use that term very loosely. We have to choose the situation based on who we're dealing with. It's very important that we use discretion. We cannot be aligned to everybody. But sometimes we have to be aligned to some people. When someone is talking bad about someone, when someone is offending someone in public, when we see a person offending another devotee in public, we just don't stand and watch, right? We'll go in and we'll say, hey, you, what are you doing? It is stated in the Nectar of Instruction. I'm going to try to paraphrase it as much as I can, and without distorting the message. Srila Prabhupada says that a devotee is tolerant, but does not tolerate when another devotee is being insulted. How many of us actually do that? Let's think of this last point that Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Parents are always tolerant of the children's mischievous acts. Now, are parents tolerant when our children are being insulted, humiliated, mistreated, bullied? No. We will confront the person who is hurting our child, right? Same thing applies with the devotees. If we see one devotee being insulted, humiliated, mistreated, all the bad stuff, we just don't sit and stand and watch. If anything, we become like a lion. It's stated in the Nectar of Instruction. We are tolerant when someone does to us. For example, if devotee A or B comes up to me and, says something, I'll try to be as tolerant as I can. But if I see the same devotee or a devotee or any devotee insulting another devotee, I should not keep quiet. Because why? I should be fighting for the devotee who's being insulted and humiliated, because why? The devotee is a devotee of the Lord. There are many, many, many pastimes where Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not tolerate when his devotees are being humiliated and insulted. So we have to ask ourselves, if the Supreme Personality of Godhead did not tolerate when his devotees are being insulted, humiliated, angered at, kicked, smashed, what have you, why is it that we cannot protect the Lord's devotees when they go through that? Being a devotee of the Lord is not an easy task. Being a devotee of the Lord, that doesn't mean I just chant my 16 rounds, I just do my service, I just do follow the 4 regs, and I'm good to, and I read proper books and I'm good to go. No. It means more than that. Because when we say that we're reading Prabhupada's books and these instructions are in Prabhupada's books, so it's even more that we should follow what Srila Prabhupada says. Because Krishna has set the example. Anybody who takes shelter of the Lord provides their needs, spiritual needs, not material needs. Because the material needs will take us away from the Lord. The spiritual needs will bring us closer to the Lord. And anybody who takes shelter of the Lord will provide their needs, whatever needs they need to come closer to him. We spoke about this on Radhastami, right? How Radharani is the mercy of the Lord, the internal Ladini Shakti, the potency of the Lord, the internal spiritual potency of the Lord. And in order to come closer to the Lord, we have to pray to Radharani to remove whatever obstacles we have to bring us closer to the Lord. And these obstacles will always be material, the mind, the false ego, the six enemies, what have you, whatever is blocking us. So we have, as devotees of the Lord, practicing devotees of the Lord, we should develop tolerance. But at the same time, remember, in the first verse, in the first point, Shri Prabhupada said, but like a lion. Tolerance doesn't mean being meek. Tolerance doesn't mean you come slap me, you come slap that devotee, I'm just going to sit and watch. No. But Shri Prabhupada just said, Maharaj Parikshit was a lion. He will develop the qualities of a lion and chase the enemies away, but he'll also be tolerant. Like a parent who forgives the child's mischievousness. So, which means Maharaj Parikshit is not going to just say, okay, I'm very, very tolerant, so you can slap my citizens. You can insult them. You can humiliate them. You can disturb them. No, Maharaj Parikshit did not do that because Prabhupada said he would chase the enemies away like a lion. So we have to protect our devotees. So as practicing devotees of the Lord, we are all spiritual warriors in our own way. We are all spiritual warriors in our own field. And as spiritual warriors, we are always fighting our own battle of Kurukshetra. And as spiritual warriors, we have to develop the understanding of when to be a lamb at home, as Shri Prabhupada mentions here, and when to be a lion. How can I be tolerant, but at the same time be a lion? How can I be tolerant, at the same time be self-controlled? Self-control is very, very, very difficult. Because why? The mind is constantly running. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. The mind is always saying, but you got to get your needs met. Don't you want this? The mind is always telling us, don't be self-controlled. I will control you. I will give you all your desires. It's very difficult. But we have to be patient to develop the self-control. Dharyat. It's mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, Dharyat. Patience, very, very difficult quality to work. But is it impossible? It's not impossible. It's possible. It's very possible to develop these qualities, but we have to ask ourselves, do I want these qualities? Do I want to develop the mood of a Vaishnava? Because if we remember, these qualities that Srila Prabhupada is mentioning are some of the qualities of a Vaishnava. And if we say the way that we are practicing devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and if we say that we are devotees of the Lord, practicing to come closer to the Lord, then it's very important that we try to develop these qualities. And if we really want to develop these qualities, then we have to pray for the mercy from the Lord. We have to take shelter of our spiritual master. We have to take shelter of our senior devotees to help us develop these qualities. And also to recognize when to apply these qualities and when not to apply these qualities. Because Kali Yuga is progressing so fast that we are not even aware that we are being caught by our mind, senses, and false ego. And the mind, the senses, and the false ego are so subtle, yet they are very deep and they're very big. They're very deep, but they're very big. But they can overtake our spiritual life in a split of a second if we keep giving in to the mind saying, no, I won't control you. You don't control yourself. The false ego is saying, no, no, no. Why do you want to be this? You need all this glorification. You need all the praises. You need all the fame. It's going to make us more materialists, more materialistic. So here, Srila Prabhupada is so nicely telling us that an ideal king may be possessed of all these qualities. And the child Parikshit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection. And like we mentioned, these qualities are some in the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. To develop tolerance, to develop patience, to develop self-control, to be worthy of giving shelter. If someone comes and says, Mataji, you know, can you please give me shelter? Whatever little we have, we give them. What is little to us will be big for someone else. Tolerance is a very difficult task, but at the same time, it's a very difficult quality. But at the same time, it is possible to be tolerant if we want to be tolerant. And we can pray for tolerance. Some of us who have been mothers, we have gone through childbirth. We were very tolerant. We had to endure the pain. We had to endure the labor pain, the delivery, and the what have you. We were tolerant. We had no choice, right? We had to be tolerant. It's not like we could, as soon as we go into labor, the child comes out in 1 minute. No. We have to be very, very, very tolerant. Just like Mother Earth is. She's very tolerant. She goes through daily torture, but yet she excuses us. She's very tolerant. Tolerant like the trees. That's one of the prayers by Lord Chaitanya in the Sri Shastaka. One should be tolerant like a tree. And then Prabhupada mentions self-control. When the mind goes crazy, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. It's all I wanna. And then we find ways to justify my I want-us. I want, we try to justify it, right? Self-control. Control the mind. You're not going to get everything you want. Don't we tell our children that? You're not going to get everything you want. There's a time for it, and I will tell you when I'm going to get it to you. If it's meant to be. We can't give our children everything they want. We are the parent. We should know when to give them, and probably they don't need it. And if they don't need it, they're not going to die without it. With it. I mean, now, if they don't get it, they're not going to die. They'll be fine. Self-control. And it's very important that we really teach our children the quality of patience and tolerance and self-control. Because with this fast age of technology that's happening today, kids, I mean, young people, not even kids, just young people have very limited patience, self-control, and tolerance. Very limited. Is it going to get any better? No, it's not. It's going to get worse. Because why? There's going to be a lot of bombardment in front of their face. Buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me. And then they entice them. Oh, it can do this. It can do that. It's got this new technique now. You can just do this. It's going to entice them. It's very important that we teach our young people in today's age to develop the quality of tolerance, patience, and self-control, because not everything is going to come when they want. And the same applies for us too. Not everything is going to happen when we want it. So these were my points, and just a quick recap that Srila Prabhupada was talking about. The Brahmanas are telling Maharaj Parikshit, the Brahmanas are telling Maharaj Yudhishthira the qualities that Maharaj Parikshit will develop to perfection, will have, not develop, will have to perfection. And he mentioned that he'll be as strong as a lion. And he'll be worthy of taking shelter like the great Himalayas that provides all the needs, even to those who are materially not prosperous. And he will be patient and self-control like Mother Earth. And he'll be tolerant like parents. So these were my reflection from this class. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts from Srila Prabhupada. Everything that I have shared is actually all from Srila Prabhupada's points. So if there are any questions, any comments, any takeaways, please do jump right in. You can jump a small group today. You can even share your thoughts on your chat if you would like, and I'll be happy to read them. Any takeaways, any thoughts, and these 4 main points? Strong as a lion, worthy as a shelter of the Himalayan mountains. Forbearing. Forbearing means patience and self-control. And tolerant like his parents, which is Abhimanyu and Uttara. Any takeaways, any food for thought, anything that's coming to your mind? Okay. I hope devotees actually were able to get at least one takeaway from this class. That is the purpose of hearing. The purpose of hearing is that we take at least one takeaway of this class that we can work on, that we can develop, and that we can get better on. And if there are no questions and comments, we thank you all for joining us. Vancha krapatubhyascha, kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.